welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another Halloween video. Today we will be talking about the real story behind the Annabelle doll. I was actually kind of surprised about how little content there is about Annabelle and like the real story behind the doll. Maybe there's a reason for that, but if there is, I'm unaware of it and I'm doing a video on it anyway. I'm just gonna mention right off the bat, there's actually a couple sources that state that the names have been altered in the story of like the real people that this happened to. Most commonly, the main individual is referred to as Donna or even Debbie, but I have read that this woman's name was actually Deirdre, and the roommate's name, Angie, was actually Lara, and Lou was a young man by the name of Carl. These names were based on the book by Gerald Brittle, who wrote the book The Demonologist in 1980. I'm not 100% sure that that's accurate, but I wanted to include it anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and use the most common ones that I found, which are Donna, Angie, and Lou. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. A young woman by the name of Donna was given the doll by her mother in 1970 as a birthday gift. Donna was a 28-year-old nursing student and lived in a small apartment with her roommate Angie. Annabelle is actually a Raggedy Ann doll and looks nothing like what you see in the Annabelle movies. So Donna brings her birthday gift home and puts it in her bedroom. Initially, the doll had no name. We'll get to that later. Almost immediately, Donna begins noticing, albeit small, but strange things about the doll. She would leave the doll on her bed, and the doll would change positions in very small ways. An example being that the doll maybe would have crossed her legs during the day when they had been straight out before. Eventually, Donna would come home to find "Help Us" or "Help Me" penciled onto parchment paper. However, neither Donna nor Angie kept parchment paper in the house. Do you want to come here? Would you like to be involved? What? Okay. I guess we're doing this episode with a cat. Of course, the activity began escalating, and eventually the doll would end up in completely different rooms when nobody had moved her. The doll would occasionally appear standing and leaning up against dining room chairs, and even once was kneeling. Allegedly, there was an instance where the doll appeared to be leaking blood onto its chest and on the back of its hand, without any explanation as to how the blood had gotten there. There was also an instance where a male friend was napping in their home and woke to the doll in front of his face staring at him with the intense feeling of being choked. He later found deep scratch marks on his body. Donna and Angie tried to find a reasonable explanation for everything that was going on, but could come up with nothing. It was at this time, about 6 weeks into owning the doll, that they reached out to a medium and held a seance in their apartment. Probably a bad idea. The medium did manage to reach the spirits inhabiting the doll, who claimed to be the spirit of Annabelle Higgins, a 7-year-old who had lived on the property before the apartments were built, and who died on that property as well. The spirit of Annabelle claimed to enjoy living with the girls and wanted to stay and be loved. It was at that time that the roommates began to feel sorry for the spirit and gave it permission to inhabit the doll. Obviously, things then got even worse. Annabelle began exhibiting even more frightening behavior and actually attacked Angie's fiancé Lou 2 reported times. In the first instance, Lou was woken from a deep sleep and was unable to move. He then looked down and saw Annabelle at his feet. He watched the doll then proceed to glide over his body and began choking him until he passed out. He awoke the next morning knowing that the experience he had was not a dream. The second instance occurred when he and Angie were planning a road trip. They began hearing some rustling noises from Donna's room and went to check things out. Lou entered the room and found Annabelle laying in a corner. He walked into the room, but quickly felt as if someone was behind him. Lou then doubled over on the ground and realized he was bleeding. Upon checking his body for wounds, they found that Lou had 7 claw-like scratches on his chest. After all of these bizarre occurrences, Donna was finally ready to admit that something more sinister was going on with Annabelle. She reached out to the church for help. She contacted a priest by the name of Father Hagen, who then reached out to a higher authority in the church, Father Cook, who then reached out to the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren spoke with the three involved and came to the conclusion that the doll was possessed by an inhuman spirit, which the girls had unknowingly allowed into the doll. The Warrens felt that this demonic presence was eventually looking to inhabit a human host. The presence had clearly manipulated the girls' emotions and attacked Lou. It was felt that given a couple more weeks, the demon may have completed possession of a human host or potentially killed one of the individuals in the home. After interviewing the girls, the Warrens had Father Cook read an exorcism blessing in the apartment, and at Donna's request, the Warrens took Annabelle home with them. On the drive home, the car seemed to have a mind of its own, swerving and almost causing potential collisions, with both the brakes and the power steering failing. At one point, Ed had actually reached back for a vial of holy water, doused the doll with it, and the activity stopped for a while, which was just enough time for them to get home safely. Even in the Warrens' home, Annabelle was said to levitate out of the chair she was seated in, and it was even documented that after being left in another building of their home, Annabelle could be found sitting back in Ed's easy chair. The Warrens did regularly have their home blessed, and Annabelle seemed to despise any of the clergymen who would come by. In one instance, Father Jason Bradford picked up Annabelle and said, "You're just a rag doll, Annabelle. You can't hurt anyone." I don't even know why you would say that to a potentially possessed toy or item. I mean, why? Shortly after Father Bradford's encounter with Annabelle, hours later, in fact, he would also have his brakes fail, leading to a near-fatal accident and completely totaling his car. Since that time, a wood and glass case was built for Annabelle in which she eternally resides. While Annabelle looks nothing like the film's rendition of this story, I think we can all agree that this is a terrifying story. Just imagine if it had happened to you. So that is all I have for you today, guys, on Annabelle the doll. Let me know what you think of Annabelle down in the comments. Have you been to the Warrens Museum? And yeah, thank you for watching another one of my Halloween videos. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.